Bob Dylan, 75 years old, winning the Nobel Literature Prize. What does he mean for literature? What does he mean for songwriting?
Well, in terms of songwriting, Bob Dylan is more than a singer. He's a lyricist. He's the front man, as we heard in that package, of a social movement. And we're all part of the band. Now, in the 1960s, he set the spotlight on conscious music. He broke through with the record in 1963, the Freewheelin'. He was a master of holding up a mirror to the hardships of the times and channeling that through his lyrics, through his music. He offered a perspective to a generation looking for a way to rise above. He struck a chord with the masses, and his lyrics, which is what we're celebrating him here for today, are as mythical as ever, and they're poetic, and they stand alone. For instance, if I say, how many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? The answer is blowing in the wind. We know it's Dylan, without the music. If I say, and there's a battle outside, and it's raging, it'll soon shake your windows and rattle your walls. Dylan. If I say, in the 60s came the Vietnam War, can somebody tell me what we're fighting for? With God on our side, trademark Dylan. He mastered the art of using music as a platform to influence social change, a form of non-violent protest. And he's been celebrated over the years. It's not the first time. He's won 11 Grammy Awards, as well as a Golden Globe and even an Oscar for Best Original Song back in 2001. Now, he's been as active as ever since the late 1980s and toured persistently in what he's called the never-ending tour. So he's still very energetic. And why would he stop? His music and lyrics are timeless, and they've resonated for decades. So it's fitting that he's taken home this award in particular.
A music that keeps changing and, as you say, very prolific. But still, this is a real first. The Nobel Literature Prize going to a songwriter.
Going to a songwriter and an American for the first time since 1993. Now, the announcement at the Royal Academy Hall in Stockholm was met with the usual applause. But it's been reported that there were also some gasps from the audience and even some laughter. This choice is a controversial one. We can't get away from that as much as we love Bob Dylan. There are some people who would like to see the prize kept within the confines of what one would think of as, literature in the traditional sense. One Swedish critic called it a Trumpification in reference to Donald Trump, saying that the awards are trying to appeal to the masses. Now, I think that's a grave insult, one, and in Dylan's defense, not that he needs defending, being able to speak to the masses, to deliver a loaded message charged with divisive themes like politics, like religion, war, as simply and as powerfully as he's been able to do, is absolutely no small feat. The Academy has been known to expand the traditional boundaries of literature over the years. This isn't the first time. Winston Churchill won in 1953 for his speechwriting. Dario Fo, an Italian playwright who passed away today, won for his plays back in 1997. So why not Dylan? I mean, he's the wordsmith of his medium. We can say that he's the bard of song. So I think this is a very, very fitting choice.
All right, stay with us, Marianne, because we're going to go to Baltimore, Maryland. Say hello to Daniel Mark Epstein, himself an award-winning poet, biographer, a playwright, and the author of The Ballad of Bob Dylan. Thanks for joining us here on France 24.
It's a pleasure to be with you today.
You just heard what Mariam Saab said about some of the critics talking about how this is the Trumpification of the Nobel Literature Prize. What was your reaction?
Oh, I was just delighted, and I think it says a lot about the Academy's intelligence, their understanding of not only Dylan's poetry, but poetry in general. They understand that this man is a poet, that his poems stand up on the page, that he's mastered not only the technique of metaphor, simile, allegory, but also the different genres. His poetry, his songs are dramatic, they're narrative, and they're lyric. He's a poet in every sense, and I'm proud as a fellow American poet that he's won something for all of us.
All right, you're proud as an American poet. We're going to listen to what the Swedish Academy had to say about just that, defining Bob Dylan as a poet.
Bob Dylan is a great poet. It's as simple as that. He is a great poet in the great English language tradition, stretching from William Blake onwards, from Milton and Blake onwards, I should say. At the same time, he embodies the tradition, and I'm not speaking about the high tradition only, but also the low tradition. His repertoire stretches from folk songs in the Appalachians, Delta blues in the South, all the way to Rimbaud, French modernism, and he handles this heritage in this absolutely original way. No one's ever done anything like him.
Daniel Mark Epstein, do you agree with that this is sort of a low tradition which should be celebrated?
Yes, I agree entirely. He's very much in the tradition of Robert Burns, who also sang his poems, and Sappho, and there are a number of great poets who've sung their poems. And also, there's a fabulous intersection in Bob Dylan between the lyric voice, the person speaking about his own thoughts, and the epic dimension, his connection with American history. I remember the first time I saw him and heard him and met him, he sang a song called "Hard Rains Are Gonna Fall," which is a remarkable intersection of lyric poetry, someone talking about their own private experience, and the experience of a nation. My friend Allen Ginsberg, when he first heard "Hard Rain's Gonna Fall," said he wept with joy because he realized that an heir to Walt Whitman had been discovered.
And what was the first song that came into your head when you heard the news this morning, Daniel?
Oh, I thought of the wonderful dialogue, "Spanish Boots of Spanish Leather." It's a love song. It's a ballad in two voices. A young man who's his girlfriend's about to go on a journey, and the two of them are saying farewell to each other and still vowing eternal love. And it's not just a lyric poem; it's a dramatic poem because you've got two people speaking. And a lot of great songwriters, your own Jacques Brel, Cole Porter, there are men and women singing about their own private thoughts. And the great thing about Bob Dylan is he's able to transcend that and write great narrative poems, great dramatic poems.
Mariam Saab, you're the song that you came into your mind?
You can't get past titles like "Blowin' in the Wind." I've been humming it all day. I'd give you a little rendition, but I wouldn't want our viewers to take over too close to dinner time.
You'd scare away maybe Daniel.